Elimination Chamber 2026 predictions. Let's get to it. Starting with the Women's Chamber: Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Kiana James, and Raquel Rodriguez. And I made a worst outcomes video. It should have been already uploaded. Go check it out. Link is in the pinned comment. Well, at the end of the video and in the description. There we go. I did say Tiffany was the worst possible outcome. Spoiler. Sorry. But I do think she's the most likely option. Unfortunately, Rhea, I as much I would love to see Rhea versus Jade, I do think that would be a really good match because Jade really works well with powerhouses. It's just she is currently with Io, and I don't see a world where Io and Rhea are not in the same match together in some form or fashion. Plus, they're still the tag champs as they're recording this video. I'm recording this before SmackDown, so maybe tomorrow they might drop it and this whole thing is invalid. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, maybe they do that. Maybe they don't. But either way, I just don't see any reality where Rhea and Io are not in the same match, whether it's a tag match, a one-on-one, or somehow, some way, a triple threat. And if Rhea were to win, it means Io would be inserted into it, which means it would be another triple threat match at Mania. And the only difference is you're switching out Bianca for Jade. So it's like, no, I don't see that. Asuka, once again, I kind of don't see that happening. That is probably not the least likely, but I don't see Asuka versus Jade as a WrestleMania match right now, especially when there's like no interaction between the two besides that one match at Evolution last year. And that was it. And they barely had any interaction leading up to that either. So it's like, I don't see that happening either. Kiana, I think it's too early. I do think she'll have a great showing in the Elimination Chamber because at the Royal Rumble, she definitely showed a lot of people what she's capable of. And I do think she'll do that again at Elimination Chamber. I just don't see her winning. She's the least likely option to win. She's still Julia's sidekick, so it'd be kind of weird. Not weird. It'd be a very interesting story, kind of having like Julia sidekick be the main attraction, turned out to be like the main one, and she wins. But you know, they're not gonna go down that route. It's gonna be Julia versus somebody. That's a whole different can of worms. That title reign has been garbage. Jesus Christ, that was terrible. But we'll talk about that later. But Kiana, least likely. And then Raquel Rodriguez. They see, the thing about the Elimination Chamber is you're fighting Jade no matter what. Now, if you didn't have that stipulation, I would have said it's my favorite option, right? Because you could have done the story of Raquel wins and challenges Stephanie, but that's not how it works, right? You're going to fight Jade no matter what. If you win, you're fighting Jade. You don't have a choice in the matter. So that lowers her stock a lot, making her the least likely. She's more likely to be inserted into the Liv and Stephanie match than anything. Maybe they could. We still have like 7-8 weeks, so they still have time to do it. So I do see a reality where she gets inserted into that match in some way. So her winning this would be kind of pointless. So no. So that only leaves Tiffany and Alexa. I do see a world where Alexa wins, right? Because they have been teasing Charlotte a lot, right? Charlotte versus Jade a lot. They had that whole interaction last week on SmackDown, right? They had several backstage interactions over the last year or so. They have. So they could go down the route of Alexa wins, right? In Charlotte, she's still a face, right? As you know, she's doing a good job. I'm not gonna lie, she's doing a good job as a face. People are getting behind her. But I do wonder how long that's gonna last, though. You know, I do want it to last a little bit longer. However, you know, I mean, it's WWE. She's gonna find a way to get in the main event scene at some point, and I don't know how well she'll do in the main event scene as a face. I don't know. It's only time will tell. And so you can do the storyline where Charlotte gets jealous of Alexa winning, and then she finds a way into the match, and then you had the triple threat shenanigans, and then whatever happens after Mania happens, and that leads to Charlotte versus Alexa, with presumably one of them being the champ, most likely. Who, I don't know. That's a whole different can of worms. You can go down that storyline. I do think that would be very interesting, because without it, it's either a triple threat for the championship against Jade, or it's just Alexa versus Charlotte, with presumably Alexa being the heel. So I do think they'll probably want to keep Charlotte as a babyface for a little bit longer, because they tried to make it work last year, but it just did not work. So it's finally working. I do think they're going to try to get as much mileage out of that as possible. So yeah, it's either of those options, and I do think the triple threat does sound way more appealing. However, I just think Tiffany's going to win. I don't want her to win, but she's probably going to win. So Tiffany wins the Women's Elimination Chamber. Next up is the Men's Elimination Chamber, containing Cody, LA Knight, Randy, Jey Uso, Javon Evans, and Trick Willie. The least likely is most likely going to be Javon Evans and Trick Williams. I do love that they're in the match. I do think they have a great showing in the match. However, I do think it's way too early. Javon Evans has like nothing going on right now, right? Because he had the whole feud with El Grande, but then they transitioned that feud into El Grande versus El Grande. So now Javon kind of has nothing going on right now. I do think he'll find a way onto the WrestleMania card. I do. But it's just with 7 to 8 weeks left. That's the whole problem with WrestleMania right now. There's no hype for it. And yeah, Javon has nothing going on. So I don't see him winning this. Same thing with Trick. I do think it's a little too early. At least he has something going on with Sammy. You do have that storyline going on SmackDown. Who knows how that ends up happening. But yeah, I don't see him winning the chamber and fighting Drew. I just don't. The next least likely is Jey Uso. He will eat. He will run it back in mid-match. I just want you to know. He will run it back. I'm preparing you right now. He will do it. Okay, so don't be surprised. Don't be shocked. Don't be perplexed. He will run it back. Okay, so prepare for that. Again, he's the Raw Tag Team Champion, even though they literally haven't done anything with that championship at all. So, yeah. I don't think he wins. I don't think people want to see him in the main event scene, at least for a little minute. You know, I'm not saying never again, but I do think it's time to give it a little bit of a break. Even the audience themselves, the in-arena audience, they were booing at the Royal Rumble when they were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win the Rumble, Oos." Like, no, we love you. We like to eat. We like to eat. No more championships. No more. No, give it a break. And even if he does win, what does Jimmy do? I highly doubt Jimmy's just going to be doing nothing. I highly doubt that. It's wild enough he said, "Yo, Jay, go win the chamber," instead of, I want to do it myself. Very crazy. But yeah, Jey Uso is not winning that. I'm sorry. And then we have Cody, LA Knight, and Randy. Rumors, unfortunately, I did see the rumor of LA Knight versus Brock. I like to avoid stuff like that, but I kind of came across it. I have no choice. It's already in my memory bank. I can't forget it. Unfortunately, I can't rewind my brain and be like, I didn't see that. Like, no, I saw it. So they are most likely going down the road of LA Knight versus Brock, unfortunately. So, kind of don't want to see that, but I'm not WWE. I'm not booking the show. But yeah, LA Knight versus Drew, I don't see that happening, especially with the storyline that's going on SmackDown. It's very clear what's happening, which is why Cody Rhodes is most likely gonna win it. I do see a world where Randy wins. That'd probably be like my dark horse pick if you want to swerve the audience, right? Because they're very clearly going down the route of a multi-man match, whether it's Drew and Cody, and Jacob's going to be involved in some form or fashion. Now, does Randy get involved? Maybe. Because right now he's feuding with Aleister Black. So if he stops feuding with Aleister Black, what does Aleister Black do? So I think that's probably the WrestleMania match right there. Who knows? Honestly, it can be like a 6-man match. Add Aleister Black to the multi-man match. Add Sammy, because Sammy's going down his little dark descent path right now. And add Strickland. Just add everybody. Make it a whole battle royal. Make it a Royal Rumble at this point. This is going to be like a 7-man match. Which would low-key be hectic. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of sick. I'm not gonna hold you. That'd be kind of fire. But yeah, it's mostly gonna be Cody. Unfortunately, a little bit predictable, but it's clear, it's obvious. Not everything needs to be a swerve. So Cody wins the men's elimination chamber. Next up is CM Punk versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's obviously gonna be CM Punk. Balor is not winning, especially we're a month and a half away from WrestleMania. I don't see that happening. If this took place in like September, October, I would have said Balor. I would have. I do think they would have pulled the trigger, but no, we have the match against Strowman already set. There's no reason to mess it up. I do not see Balor being added to the match. I don't want him to be added to the match. I love Finn, but I do not want to see another triple threat between Roman, CM Punk, and a third party, especially considering we just did that last year with Seth. I don't want to see that again, but instead of Seth, it's Finn. I don't want to see that. I just don't. I'm sorry. I love Finn. I don't want to see that. He's probably fighting Dom for the IC title at Mania. That seems to be the path. So yeah, CM Punk wins. Next up is AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the women's IC title, and I do think they will run his back at Mania, either with the stipulation or adding Maxine and Natty, because they did say they want to go for that, even though she never got the match. Strangely enough, it was like, yeah, I'm next in line. We're fighting AJ Lee now. Whoa. What happened there? What happened there? And that whole storyline between Maxine and Natty. I had high hopes for it, Loki. I did think that'd be a pretty solid feud. But it turned out to be a waste of time, unfortunately. But that's a video for a different day. We're talking about AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. Like I said, most likely running it back at Mania. How do they do it? Have Becky cheat. Some form or fashion, some way, somehow, Becky cheats and wins. Yes, I do know they're in Chicago. That's her hometown. It's not. Is where CM Punk is. CM Punk's hometown, and I don't know where they live. I don't care where they live either. But now I'm assuming they're gonna bill it as her hometown. It's not. But yeah, it's gonna be the whole. Will CM Punk and AJ Lee leave the event as champs? A nice little moment at the end of the show. They come out. They're like, "Oh, we did it. We're both champ." Yada yada yada. I do think that would be a really cool visual, considering everything they've been through with WWE, between being fired and hating on it and coming back. That would be a really cool moment. But I just see Becky Lynch just cheating. You know, she's kind of. How can I describe this? She's kind of being booked in a way to like be cowardly. You know, she's like, I want to do this, but I'm gonna hit you. It's like, you know, so to see her lose, that would kind of hurt. That would kind of be kind of crazy. I'm not gonna hold you. That'd be a little wild, but yeah, I do think she cheats. AJ Lee's gonna be like, nah, you cheated. I want my rematch, and that's how you get it to WrestleMania. If AJ Lee wins, I do just see Becky Lynch going back and say, yo, I want my rematch, and win it there. I just think her winning at Mania would be the better option. I just think that's a better option personally. So my prediction, Becky Lynch wins via cheating. And last but certainly not least, we have the mystery crate and the mystery box. What is in it? I think it's going to be a debut of a wrestler. Now, apparently, is someone called Danhausen. I don't know who that is. I don't watch anything else besides WWE. So I heard he's like a little comedy act. I guess that makes sense because, you know, comedy act, a box and a crate. I I kind of don't care for this. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of don't care for this box. When it first got debuted and revealed, I'm like, okay, it could be interesting. I'm seeing the jokes and memes about it, but like, now that it's been some time, I'm really sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, why would it be a human in a box? like, why would it be a human? I get it. Wrestling isn't the most realistic thing in the world, right? We have a literal demon that shoots fire at people. That wears a red mask. Like, that's not the most realistic thing in the world, right? We have a literal dead man that pretended to be a motorcycle. That wanted to be in a motorcycle gang. Like that's not the most realistic thing, right? Guys shooting electric and soul possession. Like, they're literally power scaling Undertaker on Twitter. Like, this is insane, right? So it's wrestling. I get it, but like, why would it be a human in a box? Like, there's no food, no oxygen in there. You're gonna run out, you die. But wrestling is a weird world, is it not? But I do think the debut wrestler is either gonna be Danhausen or Chris Jericho. I don't see anybody else. I just don't. If it's anybody else, it's getting booed. I'm sorry. I don't see why Chris Jericho would debut in a box though. So it's probably not Chris Jericho. They're probably, at this point, just save him for the Raw after Mania. I did hear that he does have a little contract dispute with AEW. So yeah, that's probably preventing him from coming to WWE. Yeah, it's most likely gonna be Danhausen, the debut of him in WWE. I don't know how he's gonna be treated if it is him, because the way WWE does things, it's kind of a little spooky. But yeah, that's my predictions for Elimination Chamber. Let me your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know yours in the comments. And while you're down there, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for more wrestling videos. On screen right now is the worst possible outcome for Elimination Chamber. Let me know your thoughts on that.